Hey guys, welcome back to My Anime Heroes Customs. We have another double custom for this week, Lucy and Aquarius from the anime Fairy Tail. This is a great custom set to have since they go hand in hand with each other. Hope you guys enjoy this. They'll be the 99th and 100th commission project. We reached 100 commission project. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. If you guys want to support me and this channel, check out my Patreon page. Link in description box below. What are we waiting for? Let's do this! Let's start with our materials. We're using the Hang Toys Female Body XXL bust size and Hanshi Arts 3D printed head sculpts. Like our previous build of Rinko and Marilyn from LiQWYD, we're using this body again. We're using this but in a different bust size so they have a bigger breast size. This is the XXL version. And of course, we're using 3D printed head sculpts by my partner, Hanshi Arts. Don't forget to check out his page, link in the description box below. So this is the head sculpt with hair for Aquarius. Let's look at the size and proportion. I think that looks really great. And Aquarius has a really big bust size, so that is just perfect. Then for Lucy, we have interchangeable head sculpts. My client requested for two kinds of faces, a neutral one and a shouting one for Lucy. Hanshi Arts was ever so kind to make a separate front hairpiece for Lucy so that it's easier to access the face for painting and for detailing. Now we can start. Our first step is to spray a primer gray on the head sculpts. Results of the 3D printed head sculpts with primer. Now we can see the details of the faces clearly and we can see what we need to clean up. So there's a little bit of excess plastic on the hair and on top of the head, and we'll just remove that by using our hobby knife and some sandpaper to make it smooth. Same techniques used for Lucy's head sculpt. Now there are just some excess resin on top of her head, so we'll just sand it off and we'll make it smooth. I forgot to mention that this particular head sculpt of Lucy doesn't have hair at the back. I forgot if I asked Hanshi Arts not to put any hair at the back, but don't worry, we can add some synthetic leather at the back for a more flowing and more flexible hair sculpt at the back. Hanshi Arts also added this little ponytail at the side of her head, so we will add this later once the additional hair goes in. It's time to make some clothing for the body. We will start with Lucy. I made this white fabric top for her. I used this template on the right and I used some white cotton spandex fabric, cut two pieces together and sew up the sides to make a sleeveless top shirt. Flip it over and then fit it to the body, and there, it fits really well, but I think I have to adjust some measurements, especially on the armhole and the length of the shirt so that it fits well with this body. The next piece that I did is her pleated skirt. So I got this rectangle piece of fabric and then I did an accordion fold wherein you fold one side and then sew the top part of the fabric, so you'll get this effect of, you know, pleated accordion skirt. Now we'll just have to cut this to size. I always make sure that I make it a little too big at first so that it's easier to cut and to adjust the measurements once we fit it onto the body. I've cut the skirt to size and fit it onto the body, but we have a problem. The fabric that I used for the skirt is way too thick. So now once I put on the top clothing, the waist part is too thick and it's too bulky. You cannot see Lucy's shape anymore. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'll just change the fabric. I'll get a thinner fabric for it and use the same techniques and fit onto the body. Before finalizing the clothing on the body, we'll have to paint her legs or boots first. So I'm using this extra SHF bodycon feet for her boots. I will have to adjust this and we'll paint this one black. Here we go, the results of the adjusted pleated skirt for Lucy. I used a thinner fabric for this. I did a pleated skirt pattern again and it looks much better and fits better onto the body. Now you can see a better shape of her waist in relation to her bust and to her skirt. Now I'm using this light sky blue fabric to add details to her clothing. So she has lines across her top, and we'll just do that, and we're almost done with Lucy. Let's go. Ta-da! This is a fast forward look of Lucy's outfit. I already added the details on her top clothing, and the paint on her boots is finally dry. So look at that. We have lines across her white top with a sky blue effect, and I've also made her a collar piece for her neck, and we're almost done. We'll just need to add a belt for Lucy and make her whip for this. Before I forget, client also requested one Aquarius key as an accessory for Lucy. So I had Hanchi Arts 3D print me this Aquarius key. It's very small, it's very fragile, so we'll have to be very careful in painting this Aquarius key. Now we will jump into the Aquarius build. The first thing that I want to show you guys is the color of her hair. I've added a primer white as base for the hair so that we can prepare it for the color of her hair. So this is a very luscious blue type of hair for Aquarius. So I have this monochrome set from ZURO, and I'm gonna pick out the best color that we're gonna use for Aquarius's hair. So I'm gonna go for the lighter shade, and then maybe go for a little bit of darker blue for some shading effect for her hair. So I'm gonna use that with my airbrush. Another fast forward look on Aquarius's hair. So I've added her skin tone, I've painted her hair, and then I've added this silver on her forehead. I have a little bit of paint chipping on the skin, but don't worry, we will fix that later. Let's move on into creating the clothing for Aquarius. The only clothing that we need for her is the mermaid tail. So I made this shape out of a blue, sky blue fabric, and I used this template on the right and sew two pieces together. With that being said, we will have to join her legs together. So I am gonna use some masking tape just to join her legs together, and just like this. So this is just a very rough joining of both of her legs, and I added a little bit of tail to the end. And I really don't like the texture of this, but this is just to hold the legs together. So I'm gonna use another type of fabric to put it over the legs. I have a fabric that has a very similar skin tone with the Hang Toy's body, so I'm just gonna wrap it like this to make it seamless and smoother, and so that her lower extremities of the tail of the mermaid tail has a bit more girth and a bit more width to it once we put over the mermaid blue fabric. Ta-da! Here we have our mermaid tail. I really like how it came out. It looks much more cohesive and one solid piece. I made sure that we still have articulation for the tail so that we can pose it later with Lucy. Now I'm using this baby blue fabric to add her details on her waist part, and of course her fin. We will use this same fabric for her fins at the bottom, and we will just glue that all together into this body. Let's do it. Fast forward, I just used pieces of fabric to put this all together, and for the fin, just a triangle double piece of fabric to make it flexible, and it looks really good. I really like how it came out, and I just added a little bit of crisscrossing line on the blue mermaid tail. Now I'm gonna get a synthetic leather, which is gold. Now we're gonna use that to put details around Aquarius's body. So she has a belt, she has bracers and wrist guards that go around all over her body, and we're gonna do that right now. Fast forward so that I don't have to edit a very long video, I added gold parts all around her body. She has a belt, bracer, wrist guards, and some rings on her tail. The last thing to do for Aquarius is to make her top clothing, which is a bra. So we are gonna get triangle fabric and cut that into pieces to shape, and we will just glue it onto her bust. Lucy and Aquarius are done. Let's see full figures. Let's go. Tada! Now we have our finished customs of Lucy, Heartfilia, and Aquarius. I really enjoyed this build. This was just a simple and quick build, but it took me long enough to finish also with this video because I had a lot of work in the past few weeks. But let's take a look at Aquarius first. Just a very simple and straightforward build. I think the hardest part was to make sure that her bra top stays on the silicone body, and of course joining her legs for the mermaid tail. I really love the head sculpt that Hanshi Arts did for Aquarius. It looks majestic, it looks very flowing, and I love how her mermaid tail has really great articulation. And overall, Aquarius looks very solid and very beautiful and majestic. I love it. Now let's take a look at Lucy Heartfilia Custom. I like how she came out. She's very fast build. She's a very simple one, but also she has a little bit of hard techniques to pull off. So I also made some whip accessories for her. One is attachable to the belt, which has a Velcro, so that when she's not using it, it's stowed away right on her side. And I made another one that is unraveled, so she can hold it on her holding hand and she can pose it once she's fighting her enemies. Taking a closer look at the alternate head sculpts, we have one neutral face and one shouting face for Lucy. I really like how the faces came out, and you can easily swap the heads on the neck peg. I really like this shouting face with the whip, being able to pose with her, and she looks really badass with it. The final accessory that we have for Lucy is the Aquarius key. Look how small it is. So I also used SHF hands for Lucy. So we have this dedicated hand for holding the key. So it's very small, you'll just fit it into her hands and boom, just like that. We now have Lucy holding Aquarius key, and now she can summon Aquarius. Oh, it's so cool. I love how these came out. And what are we waiting for? Jump straight to action poses. Thank you.